Hey there, it's CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. Across the Red River is beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. And just behind me here, there we go. Yeah, right there in the sky. Ha, that sky is a beautiful Gibbons waning moon. And so that's wonderful. Um, yeah, it's a nice night. It's cool. It's not cold. I was at I'm a friend of this family, and the daughter was having a birthday, just a general, ice cream and cake, pizza, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool. I really appreciate being the single person, the loner that I am, and I'm happy for that. But I always appreciate when uh, I'm kind of brought into that whole, like, family environment or whatever. Now, I'm not single for a disdain of a group experience, family or whatever. That's not it. It's just basically I made a promise to myself that what I would do was I would wait uh, until I felt something was kind of okay before I felt like before I felt that I would involve myself in a relationship, and in the meantime that I would be okay with being the single person that I am. And I have a lot of fun, and I find that friendship has been far more rewarding in my life than brief uh, attempts at failed romances because one or both of the people were trying to fake it. So my endeavors are far more lasting. Uh, but I'm not down on love or anything. But yeah, it's that moon. Where is the moon? It disappeared. Ah, there it is. I hope wherever they're going, the fire brigade or whatever. I hope that wherever they get there, I hope it'll be okay. So I like checking out this moon. Okay, so I've not been out for a health walk in a while, and that's because the weather's been kind of weird. It's we don't have horrific weather very often, but we do have weather that gets a little bit unpredictable. Uh, so uh, during our winter months, and for us, it's a short season, but we get these really, really powerful wind uh, gushes, get thunderstorms, tornadoes, and yeah. Uh, so I guess we just have to trust that they get to where they're going and it's okay. Um, it's when I see an ambulance or uh, fire truck or rescue squad or something on the road, I wanna think that it's gonna be okay, that it's gonna work out, even though we know sometimes it really doesn't. That moon is, where is it? Right there, above this little building here. That's the moon. Where my Coke is circling. In a city, you get what some term as a light pollution, so that you can't always see uh, what you want to look at in the night sky. So sometimes you want to get out and see things clearly, uh, out, away. You want to get. I think the lights are pretty. I love it. I love metropolitan areas and everything. But I also can see being out in the away from the populace and away from the lights and just experiencing the night sky. One of the things that I remember being a little kid, oh my God, I was not yet aged 5. Uh, I remember We were living on Southern Avenue. We lived there twice in my young life. This was the first time. And my mother uh, was working as a ward clerk. I'm not sure. My dad was home, but I'm not sure what he was doing uh, with this for work. I don't remember that. But a ward clerk in a hospital is what mother was doing. And then, of course, there was my older sister, and then our cousins were staying with us. And Johnny, and I can't remember the sister's name. But no, the very first time this sense that I have of being in a world, a being in something that was bigger than I was. I had been tucked into bed and lying on my back, looking at the ceiling, and I had, in all of that stillness, for no explained reason I can think of, I had a sense of uh, motion, a sense of inertia or movement, you know, slow rotation of the world, and I could feel it. You know, at first I thought I was in oscillation, but it was not. It was cyclical, and that's that inner clock that we all have. And I was experiencing this at maybe 3.5, 4 years old when I was getting a sense of identity. I knew who I was by that time. Uh, I knew. I knew. I knew who I was, and I even had a sense of who I had been. Uh, which I think that we come into this existence uh, bringing some knowledge of where we have been, and gradually that knowledge gets exchanged. And the more we pick up in this world, then maybe we kind of lose a little bit of what's going on uh, in that world from whence we came as we come into this life. So that's why there's somewhat of a scripture, and it's kind of a scripture, but kind of not. It's in the book of Saint Thomas, which some people think should be canon, but it's not. It's part of that whole you know found in the 30s, 40s, whatever. I don't know. It's controversial. Is it authentic or is it fake? I don't know. But it makes sense, and it doesn't really contradict too much of what canonical scripture reads. But it does. There's a passage in it that talks about how the newborn baby will recognize the old person, for they are uh, coming from and going to the same place, kind of thing. Uh, and I thought that's very beautiful. And that is, God, if you don't know what I'm talking about, and you want to be careful and be very sanitary when doing this, but if you've ever seen like a baby regard a very old person, and vice versa, there is sort of a recognition that goes on that you don't experience in other people when like a kid sees another person or something like that. But I don't know. See, I told you, when I go out walking and looking and experiencing and feeling, that I tend to get a little introspective about things like this or that. Things that really don't matter, but they're little musings anyway, and they're fun. So I'm super excited. I have a birthday coming up in a few weeks, and this is kind of cool. This butterfly here. I'm not quite sure what the symbol means, but this heart does remind me of that Jane Seymour open heart pendant that she used to sell on TV some time ago. So that's kind of cool. She was a Bond girl, and then she was like Medicine Woman, or no, Jane Seymour. Yeah, was she not Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, or was that somebody else? I don't know. Jane Seymour, but she most of us know from when she was selling her open heart pendant or whatever. And whatever. I thought that was kind of cool. Maybe a little gimmicky, but actually coming from her and that energy or whatever, I could sort of believe it. Anyway, uh, um, yeah, so I have a birthday coming up. Uh, and this is going to open very soon, within the next few weeks. If it's not already, I don't think it is. Uh, it looks like it's set up to be open, for sure. It is Papillon's Creole Bistro. Uh, Here we go. Papillon's Creole Bistro. And what is promising about it is that it's not being marketed as a Cajun restaurant. There is a difference between Cajun food and Creole food, and I think I've talked about that before the first time I passed by. I'm really excited for it. So I will definitely be checking it out when it opens to see what's up. Because I do local reviews on local downtown businesses in particular. Uh, it's just kind of a thing I do. I don't know. I don't just like go in and, oh, this is a super awesome place. I think I'm going to review it. Or this is a super bad place. I think I'm going to review it. I try to be fair, and if I visit a place, I try to give it a review, regardless of where it falls on that 1 to 5-star spectrum. We don't really have a 5-star experience in Shreveport Bossier, but we have several 4-star restaurants in particular. And maybe if it's really a wonderful experience, I'll just go ahead and bump it to a 5 if I personally enjoy it. But that would be my personal like. That's not the same as a 5-star establishment. You know. But anyway, and I don't go in for private supper clubs. I just whatever. Uh, so with a guy over there, like you never know. He's out there. He's like busking, playing some rhythm. That's kind of cool. Okay, so birthday coming up, and what we're gonna do is my birthday weekend. A couple of friends and myself, we're gonna get together and go to Dallas, for a couple of nights, and that's gonna be really kind of cool, and because I love Dallas, and that's really just a few hours away. I think it's roughly 4 hours, and then spend about 2 days, and then come back that evening, and yeah. And we're gonna share a room and everything. What they don't know about me is that discreetly I'm a very bad boy, So I will be running around and everything. And they're kind of a couple, so I'm pretty sure at least one of those nights I'm just kind of gonna duck out and give them a few quality hours by themselves while I'm out doing what I do, checking some stuff out and whatever. So yeah, but and then we're gonna check out some things. I've been to Dallas, but I haven't really gone. I've gone there and stopped and had lunch, or I've been through or something like that. It's been a while since I've just gone on kind of an exploratory experience, so that'll be fun. And it's only going to be for a couple of days, but for the most part, my big excitement that I'm looking forward to is going to be my September trip that I'm going on with a friend, and we're going to take a cruise. I'm going to Dallas. This was to be that time that I was going to be away on a cruise, but my friend, his work situation, he started a new job, and you don't just start a new job and then go in and take time off right away, that kind of stuff. So it wasn't quite feasible. So that's why I postponed the boat trip and ended up taking it with somebody else. And then it was like, well, if it's a monetary thing, we can do something coastal, but that would require maybe going to the Gulf Shores of Florida, and it still wasn't the best idea for vacation. But I love my friend; he's one of my best friends, and I love the lady that he's seeing. We've been friends for a while too, so It's like, okay, Dallas, just for a weekend. That's going to be perfect, you know. And then I'm kind of an individual kind of person, so that while they're coupling, I can go off and I can be singling, you know, and then we'll get together and have some, you know, hanging out fun too. That's kind of cool. So, where I can get together and do what I do without having to feel also like, you know, uh, a third wheel on a date, you know. Uh, but anyway, which these guys are like that. They don't make me. I don't feel out of place at all. They're very open people. Very, you know, like sometimes even in a couplehood, sometimes there's this whole like, I don't know if it's chemistry or territorialism, where there's people in a room and it's like, oh my God, don't talk or give anyone attention except for the person that you're with. There are some people that are like that and they have that moment. Then there are some people who can have that moment and not necessarily at the exclusion of anybody else in the room. So it's kind of cool. So it's more like we're here to share and visit and be company and stuff. And that's what these friends are like. So that's kind of cool. And so I pick and choose if I'm a single person and I hang out with people and they're kind of a couple or whatever, or they're in a relationship, situationship, or whatever you call it. I kind of pick and choose because nobody wants to be like you know that extra appendage in someone else's relationship or something. That's not what I'm about. I'm like whatever, you know. Uh, so anyway, I had to come down and check out the river. I haven't been down in a while. I'm going to pause this. When I get over by the bridge and the lights and everything, I'll do a video and I'll look out over the river and I'll do some more reflecting. And so hang tight. Well, I'm not quite sure. I can only surmise from what's going on that there must have been some event that happened down here. There's always something, and I try to keep, abreast of the latest situations. But over here is the aquarium. I didn't see the front of it, but you'll see it in other areas. And this is a Riverwalk venue that I thought would be like a luncheon, but they're only doing like uh, uh, special event kind of thing. So it's not open all the time. The cafe, which was because I went there one day, I was going to try it out and do my little review of it or whatever. But uh, one of the things that they have in here is private party events and all this kind of stuff that you can get. All the kids will love this, well, I don't know why I'm turning around, but yeah. So the gemstones, shark's teeth, and stuff like that, and it's really right over here. And if you're just out here, and if you want to come digging around, you'll find some weird little fossils. They put them out here, like that's an acorn. Okay, but like this is here. You come and you rake and you dig it, and it's here. That's kind of cool. And I'm not gonna dig. I'm gonna leave it for the little tykes to come out here. I don't know why I'm walking in dirt. Oh, I'm wearing very casual shoes, by the way, because I'm out for a walk. So I want to come over and check out this bridge and the lights on the river. There are, I think, some restaurant businesses still open on the boardwalk. I'm not sure. But the current owners are selling the venue. So it's going to eventually reemerge as something other than what it is. This Bossier City boardwalk. Uh, well, it's a giant. It started out as an outlet mall. What kind of put a crimping on it, kind of hurt it as far as I'm concerned when it first opened. Uh, how many years ago was it? Oh my God. Like, uh, I don't know, 18, 19 years ago, give or take. I don't know. When they first opened it, they put a restriction on uh, as you're walking around. It was owned by Bossier City, and it was kind of like, uh, and you can see it. There's still like a plaque of rules or whatever, but it's like this hat that I wear. Like I couldn't have worn it like that or off to the side or something. Or security guards walking around would come by and they'd be like, "Straighten your head" or whatever. And it's like, what the hell? I mean, you're monitoring so closely that if my hat's at a certain cant, instead of directly forward, you're gonna, no, I don't think that works that way. That doesn't work that way. I'm like yeah, whatever. That's crazy. So, for the first few years, that's how they managed this boardwalk when it was private property, and then uh, their head popped out of their asses. Their heads popped out of in the city, and it's like, we're not doing that. Uh, Whatever. What happened was, I'll tell you what really was kind of an awakening. There was a teen, and he was doing this whole, not that I'm for it or that I think it's that interesting or whatever, but I just also don't think it's that important of an issue. But he was walking around, and he was kind of what is it, sagging, where his pants were like below, uh, and his underwear was showing. And I think that, yeah, uh, he was kind of getting rousted, and one thing led to another, and he ended up uh, basically just getting beat really bad, and he may have died. I don't know from the injuries. It's so long ago, I don't remember. But it was a and it's in my. I don't want to say that he died, but I don't want to not say that he didn't die. I can't quite remember, but I do know that it was a big thing. And I think no, I think what it is, I think that the teen did die, the young man or the teen or whatever, and it was you know, an awakening. Who really cares how somebody's dressing? Is that enough of a reason to endanger somebody's physical health or their life or whatever? But anyway, shortly after that, they did sell the boardwalk, the city of Bossier, and also had major changes in their policy and how they publicly relate to people. And it's like, no, you can't just rouse people because they're they're wearing their pants too low or something. It's not like they're streaking down the street or anything like that. It's not like in the '70s when people would streak or whatever. Oh, that reminds me. That used to be a thing. That really was a thing in the '70s. Streaking. You can watch streakers on the Academy Awards occasionally at football games or something like that. It was a thing. We were living in Amelia, which was outside of Morgan City in St. Mary Parish. I've talked about that. I was very young. Uh, and of course, my best friend and cousin Brian were at my age, and we were like, such rowdy people that they put us in separate classes, wouldn't let us be in the same class, which I thought it would have been cool. Why not? We could be like supportive of each other. Uh, but they thought that we would just cause too much trouble. So it's like, whatever. Well, anyway, uh, it would have been great if we had been in the same class. I know the friends that I made, I bonded with, and they were awesome. And I know that it would have been a greater bonding experience. But yeah, we were sometimes bad boys. I won't tell that story just yet. I'll tell it later in later years. It's too soon to tell that story. Um, but anyway, yeah, and then of course the younger sister Bridget and the youngest brother of the cousin was Owen. Owen may have been his middle name or his first name. They called him something else too. He had yeah, but yeah, I think of him as Owen. But anyway, we were all hanging out uh, at where they lived at their trailer, and along down the street comes this great big giant tumbling black circle, and it was a guy streaking, doing acrobatics, going down the street, but also at the same time making as if he were trying to put on his blue jeans one leg at a time, and he was just rolling and tripping and just hadn't been a straight, and it wasn't that big of a deal. But you have like little kids all throughout the neighborhood. Of course, that becomes a problem. And back in those days, what would happen was that you wouldn't get beat to death or anything like that. You would just, yeah, some of the neighbors would come around and maybe they'd like, you know, maybe kick your ass a little bit. And that's exactly what happened, and then, and it's like, it wasn't a need to make a big deal. When someone was just stepping out of line, you just corrected them, put back in line, and they would have the good grace to be like, you know what, yeah, I did overstep and screw. But this is in the middle of the afternoon, kids and everything like that, and somebody goes strolling down, streaking down completely in the buff, except for the blue jeans he was trying to pull up. So far, he had it up to his ankle, and I like this little kid, and I'm like, Bridget, look over here, look at the man. I'm like a little kid, So I don't know. Yeah, weird, strange stories. Have you ever seen a live streaker? And I'm not talking about a stripper. Oh, what was that song? Uh, and the guy, he's not with us anymore on this coil. Um, but he sang that song, Everything is Beautiful. But he also sang The Streak. Yeah, they call him The Streak. I know you guys. Ray Stevens. Ray Stevens. Yeah. Uh, he was a comedic uh, singer or whatever. So, uh, yeah. I think what I'm getting is a sense of introspection and retrospection and remembering, as I get closer to milestones and birthdays, I get a little closer to uh, my youth, my youthful years. Yeah, and it was tough. We did not have a lot of money. Sometimes we didn't have any money, and we really had to rely on family. And I know what that's like. I also know that if you have to rely on family and you go stay with family or somebody like that, then what you do is you abide by the rules of family. I really couldn't have people stay with me, but if I did, there'd be like some certain behaviors, some certain expectations that I would have, such as my home is a sober home. We don't do drugs. We don't come in after we've been partying and drinking and stuff like that in an unmaintainable state. We just don't do that. Yeah. That's the kind of shit that you do when you live by yourself, when you live on your own and you come and go as you please. Like, I'm out here walking around in the middle of the night. It's because I don't live with people and I don't have to call in and report. I don't have to be like, but if I were a guest in somebody's home and I was out here all hours of the night, that would be disrespectful to the people by which I was the house guest. Uh, and just, yeah, that's just not cool to do that. That's, uh, running around doing what you want to do without regard for host is what you do when you live by yourself. So let that soak in. I don't know. Uh, Everywhere you go is going to have house rules. What else am I going to do? I want to go down and check out give me, uh, yeah, I'm going to take a, take a moment and walk around down here. I told you about the, yeah, I was at the Strand Theater. We're watching A Taste of Ireland dance troupe. You can see their videos, and if they, and they turns out they tour with the new show every couple of years. They revamp it, tour again or whatever. And if you have a chance to see it, go see it. Uh, but maybe they'll release a DVD or something. I was trying to get merch. We were kind of company and stuff. Not company. There was a third person with this that doesn't normally come, and he had already gone back, and it was like, well, I wanted to get some merch. or whatever. But I did get to speak to, I think, the vocalist, the male vocalist that was singing the songs, and tell him that I really enjoyed the show, whatever. But yeah. So anyway, if you get to see the show, do it. But at one point, it was like, it clicked. Oh my God, Gene Kelly must have been, of Irish descent, because a lot of the dance moves that he would do as a dancer and choreographer very much uh, was, uh, the tap dancing that he did, very much like the classic clogging and everything like that. And his choreography, and it's like, wow. And Gene Kelly, as far as always been my favorite choreographer. Uh, tops above, even above Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Which, by the way, Ginger Rogers wasn't astutely a dancer when they started. She learned basically on the job. So I love classic old Hollywood, and I don't know. One of these days, I'm going to be walking down here or having a scene like this, and it'll be because I'm with somebody that I feel somewhat amorous with. But also, what the hell is this? There's like a pier down here. What are we doing? Are they gonna redo this or something? This used to be a pier that would, come down when the river gets higher. It would come up a little bit. I've seen this river get so high that it flood out all this, and so in front of the stage is basically a duck pond, basically with ducks and stuff. So, but most of the time it's like not like that. I see the fountain is off right now, but there's plenty of video on my YouTube channel with that fountain flowing. So, uh, I wish I wish I had video of these working how they used to work. There were LED lights within these rose petals, and they would change colors. Uh, Fade. It's kind of like my programmable light bulbs. So you can program them to change from one to another to another to another. So that was kind of cool. Uh, Maybe they just don't have them on because these little baubles inside of these little. Uh, I never understood this. What were they? It was like these big goblets or glass-looking things, and inside of them are lights that change color when they're on. I don't know. Okay. Well, I guess what I need to do is kind of walk around, check things out. Not spend too much time down here, but I do need to start heading home. Do you guys ever come out for like just a peaceful, peace of mind, Serenity health walk? Just to maybe you walk around the neighborhood to clear your head. It's kind of like the opposite of like, when I was younger, say in my 20s, going into even my 30s, whatever, if I was around people, so I was in you know, an argument with somebody, blah, 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 and I was like, "Bleh." The way I would discharge that is I would just go for a really brisk walk. And I mean, I would walk for a few miles, like I have people that run. They go for like, 5K runs or something like that. 5 miles. I don't know. I don't know how this works. They go on these health runs, and it's like, you guys pay to run? I mean, I come out and I was like, I do, and it's like I get after it. But yeah, I used to when I would get angry, I would, yeah, and sometimes go from one end of the city all the way over to the other side of Bossier or whatever. I mean, I'm telling you, I would put in some fucking mileage. Pardon my language, but yeah. So So what I do now is kind of like the opposite of that. I sometimes come out, walk around, uh, take in the sights, and enjoy uh, the serenity, uh, the peacefulness, the nice cool breeze, moving into springtime in pretty soon, actually, right? In just a few days, really. Uh, and yeah, I had calm times and nice times. I had moments where I had like anxiety that comes up on me. Like, you know how like when there's nothing going on, but you'll get that anxious anxiety thing. Everybody has some of that. Some people have more of it, and sometimes it can be crippling or whatever. But um, you know, almost all the time in that kind of a moment, if you can just get someplace and kind of calm down and relax and sit on your hands and don't do or say anything that's going to make things worse, and basically just wait for that wave of anxiety to pass over, even in moments where you are having concern and you don't know what you're going to do next to fix what you think that you need to fix or whatever. It's like, I don't know, just the answers, they're not found in the calamity of everything, they're found in the calmness. Even those times when I've been hard pressed for a solution and I've been panicked. Hang on, I came out without a soda or without a spare soda, so my throat's getting dry. I'm going to wrap this up soon. Even in the moments of, I'm just enjoying this moon. Even in the moments of despair and panic, and you don't know what to do, I have found my solution in the midst of that has always been in a moment of calm, like stillness. Get someplace and get still. Let the storm happen around me, but calm myself, and that's when I'm better going to be able to find answers. Because if I just make motion in life without consideration, I can still have an enjoyable, fun time sometimes, but I almost always do that at the expense of screwing up everything that's stable in my life. So, and even in times of emergency, it's you make things worse. I make things worse when I make decisions in an agitated state rather than in a state of calmness. So I don't know if that's true for other people, but it's certainly true for me. What do I want to do? I don't necessarily want to walk all the way up there. There's no lights or anything like that. I think I'll just kind of reverse track and go check out the lights on the bridge some more before I head off. Um, but yeah, I was talking about that dance troupe, that Taste of Ireland, and the connection was the movie Xanadu, because at some point they were doing some clogging and clapping, and it was like, oh gee, this is just like, da 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 clap Xanadu, that movie. Very end of it. It's a good movie. I'm in retrospect. It's people expected it to be super serious, and there were problems with I don't know. It was just it was just a real fun time. Uh, I think what it is nobody understood what the hell happened at the end of the movie. If they would have given some closure to the characters, other than, oh, by the way, here they are. Like, I don't know. It was the ending of the movie. They needed to cinch it up a little better. That would have made it. Oh, well, let's just say it was regarded upon its release so badly, along with Can't Stop the Music by the Village People, that uh, it was regarded so badly that uh, those two movies inspired the Razzies, which are now a tradition of giving out, uh, poking fun and giving out awards for like least favorites versus the Academy Awards, which are awards of the first. They kind of like close out the Academy Awards. I would, I don't know. I feel it's mean spirited. I also don't feel in the case of Xanadu, or even, I think what it is, it's just like, you know, it wasn't the big musical, that Hollywood musical from the 40s or whatever, even though it was inspired by that. And that whole end of the movie scene, there was a whole, you know, I don't know. I think I think it was just gravely misunderstood. You know? And it would have been interesting, the movie itself was basic. It was inspired by a movie um, where, from the classic times, where the muse comes down to oversee a play that's taking place, and it was, yeah, I forget the name of it, but it was a sequel to a movie in the 1940s or 50s, and then so the movie, and I forget the name of the sequel, but the sequel was being remade as Xanadu in 1979, 80, whatever, post Grease. It was the big follow up to Grease or whatever. But yeah, and I also think the male lead had to say, uh, what is his name? No, he was the lead in the Warriors too. Michael Beck. Yeah, I've always enjoyed him, but the acting. He's a good looking fellow and everything, but the acting just wasn't there. Not the way that I would envision acting. It was a bit. There was some melodrama behind it, and of course, by the time I got into acting and I did stage acting, which probably what we learned in acting, it was kind of like a scaled down version for little theater and everything. It was uh, a lot less melodramatic. It wasn't like, you know, yeah. I loved very dramatic performances that pretty much require realism versus like slapstick, which you could be like outlandish as you want. I don't know. That's kind of me anyway. I'm a quirky, outlandish, flamboyant kind of person. So that's why when I did theater, I liked the more dramatic pieces. Plus, I'm really in touch with the serious side of things. So it's like I could pull off being like emotionally heightened, going through an emotional situation that's gonna make me break down in tears or whatever. I don't know. I loved having parts where I got to like cry on stage, or maybe kind of got to lose it a little bit, and that's probably due to the bipolar that I have. I'm very open to that. It's like once you just open those emotions, those uh, rapid cycling fountains or whatever. It's just there. So like you could be happy and content on stage in a scene in one moment, and then the very next scene change. Uh, in another situation, just completely batshit bonkers. The craziest thing I ever got to do on stage, uh, I forget the name of the play, actually, I forget it. But we only had like a cast of three. Uh, my director and co-writer, I actually kind of helped co-write this one. And he didn't direct it. He started out as the director in name, but then I was the assistant director, and he never showed up for the blocking or anything at this play. So it was essentially I was the director of this play also. So I was one of the principal actors of three. I co-wrote and basically stage directed this whole thing. like assistant director. But anyway, and I think I talked about this play. And Thomas Buckner was the writer, and he's, to me, I think, was probably one of, I don't know. He really just never got discovered, but he was the principal writer of most of our plays, and we just loved. I just thought he was, as far as writing goes and witty dialogue and this. Uh, yeah, he had a formula. It was a bit formulary, but he was also one of the greatest writers. I think the wit that he had or whatever, and he would just pull it from and put it out there and didn't give a damn. Uh, it was what it was. And so yeah. Um, anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, I guess they started from like kind of a sketch performance troupe, and that called themselves Wandering Minstrels. And I said this before, I would have changed the name to like Wandering Troubadours, all things considered, and what we know about minstrel shows today and everything. And they don't really have like the best reputation in America, because they took on a whole new direction than, say, the Middle Ages, the medieval ages. Uh, it was different. It wasn't for the exploitation of the uh, for the black slave or anything like that. So um, anyway, it was pre-vaudeville for sure. I would, like I said, I would go with the Wandering Troubadours. Uh, by the way, copyright. Anyway, he wrote this play, and one guy, it was a cousin of his, played the doctor, the psychiatrist, a good friend of ours. Her name was Cindy, and she played his assistant, and I played a character who was deaf, had been since birth, but I came in with complaints of hearing a voices in my head. Now, and I'm someone who's never heard voices. My character. And as it turns out, it was a split personality. So I would run on and off the stage as the character that I was playing, and then I'd come back on stage as the character inside that was, the other personality. And the whole idea was the other personality inside of my head or not, whatever. And the doctor would come in, and he would. I'm sorry, I had to spit. That was gross. Forgive me. I could have like actually paused the camera or something too. My production is terrible. Do I have spittle dripping down my chin? Oh well. Anyway, it was really really fun. It was really fun, and my hair was like like it's permed now, but it was like thick and full. It wasn't like thin like I am now, but it was like really bushy. Off, like people permed their hair and wore it in the boy band style. It was great. So it was like I'd have to come out with my hair wild and everywhere, and then I had to come back in uh, as a together person, and I had to I was constantly putting some shellacking uh, product in my hair to kind of smooth it back in between scenes. And this wasn't like, it was like quick change. It was like I'd run out there, uh, do the crazy bit, then run back for the next scene where I'm having a consultation with the doctor, because some of the scenes took place inside of my head, and some of the scenes took place within the doctor's office or whatever. So it was kind of weird. And we were like, straight up improv. If you've ever done improv, this was kind of cool. This was a blank stage, and I'm like a little toy rifle, and I'm having to basically improv as if I'm fighting off an entire Union army, because my character was a traumatized Confederate soldier, which something else. I maybe would have flipped those roles, and probably would have enjoyed playing a Union soldier versus a Confederate soldier. I think you know, uh, uh, I hate to say it, Confederacy, they were not the good guys. back then. But that's not ancient history, but yeah, I guess so. I guess, yes. Can it be ancient history if hundreds of years later we're still dealing with it and talking about those issues and still? I mean, why is it so difficult to, just really? Well, I know because of the way things were hundreds of years ago. There's still a lot of financial inequity in the United States, where some families were afforded the opportunity to really build. Uh, some families were not. They were afforded the opportunity to have no rights for a few hundred years, And then when they did get the right, it was already skewed, the financial situation. So we're still that. Once I think if that ever gets like really leveled out, then maybe the real change can truly, you know, it's like, wow. And I'm not saying, that things aren't like way better now, but I mean the true goodness of equality can happen, uh, you know, uh, when fortune becomes balanced. Is that a prophecy or something, or is that just me being stupid? I don't know. Uh, yeah, so this, it's like, yeah, it's so weird. I randomly just go through a stream of thoughts. One thing leads to another. It's what my fourth grade teacher, Miss Escade, used to talk about. She used to say it was bird walking, where you talk about one thing and then you get off on a tangent. That tangent leads to something else, and blah, blah, blah. And pretty soon you don't know the original. Basically, just to come out and reflect and have a good time. I'm going to head back home. Um, I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Love and light. Peace. Night.